we're going to hear from Jörg Binkert, R&D Director, Kaspar Schulz. Now, Jörg is a graduate brewmaster who was born in Bavaria, Germany, completed his apprenticeship as a brewer and maltster, and then moved to the Bavarian State Brewery as a technical assistant in the 1990s. Since then, he's worked as a technical director and a technical manager, and more recently, having been R&D Director at Huttmann AG Kitzingen, he is now R&D Director at Kaspar Schulz Bamberg. Jörg's going to speak on innovation and the potential of micro-business by microbrewing, micromalting, and microdistilling. Jörg.
Thanks, Peter. Nice to speak here. Thank you very much for the invitation. I hope you come along with my Bavarian English. If you don't understand me, just tell me, then I switch to German. It's no problem. And laughing is allowed. So, the question is, so it took me 29 years to come back to Australia. I was here as a backpacker in 1989. So the falling of the Berlin Wall I saw in the Australian television. So it was quite nice. So here we are. Kaspar Schulz, situated in Bamberg, is the oldest manufacturer for brewing equipment in the world. Since 1677, it's family owned, and we are quite famous in Europe and all around the world. So we are the Rolls-Royce, you can say, under the brewing systems. So our oldest running brew house from 1844 is in a museum near Bamberg, and it's still working every week. It's making very good beer. We don't start now new with malting. 50, 60 years ago, we finished with malting systems because the times were changing and every maltery was getting bigger and bigger, and all this industrialization was coming. But we used to build malteries for the last 100 years, and especially even distilling plants. And now we started since 5 years again to make craft malting systems or small malting systems. And in 2 years, we think we are on the way to build up distilleries as well again. So time comes back. My boss is an architect, like you see at this new building. So since 3 years, we are in the new building in the middle of Bamberg. And we are more than 200 people now. So we are a small-sized family-owned company, and we bought another company called Hinke in Österreich, in Austria, which is a very good tank manufacturer, and we are still growing with the market. The good thing is that we didn't change or have to change our business because the market was coming to us. You all know about microbusiness, I guess, about the craft breweries. All around the world, and we were the first to put a brew house on a frame. So it was in the 1970s, and now when you go through the breweries, the small new breweries, every brewery is on a frame, and Kaspar Schulz was the inventor of that. So we are not in the middle of nowhere, but in the middle of Europe, you can say. Bamberg, a lot of people know Weyermann malt, especially here in this room maybe. Weyermann malt is distributed all around the world for special malt, and we even have the Schlenkerler, the smoked beer. So we don't have the Oktoberfest beer, as everybody knows, I guess, but we have the smoked beer, which is much better and much more original. Our customers are worldwide. In Australia, we only, let's say, build up 3 small breweries, but in complete Europe, Asia, North America, and especially South America, there are lots of breweries now coming up, and a lot of them are Kaspar Schulz plants. When you are thinking about making a brewery or a maltery, you never can forget that you only buy it once. So the question for today is microbusiness a global player? I think we heard a lot of topics the last 2 days. And what I could understand was the word sustainability. I've heard, especially for today, a few times reliability, the direct relationship to the customer, the flexibility, the regionality, the local responsibility, and the uniqueness. So these are the topics what are interesting to think about micro business. I think it's nothing new for you, but new is that everybody in the world is thinking about it. So 10 years ago, it wasn't like this, or let's say 15 years ago. The regional economic cycles. I don't know how far it is in Australia. I just can say that we are in Bavaria, we are very, very regional thinking, and it's getting more and more. In France, you have the Brittany, they are thinking local. In Spain, you have some areas, and especially for the food and beverage industry, it goes hand in hand with the microbusiness, let's say. So regional product stimulates and inspires emotions. You can imagine regional products create a relationship and pride for the region, so the region is important. I don't know how it is in Australia. I think there's Western Australia, Southern Australia, and I don't know about the local situation. Consumers expect authentic regional raw materials and are willing to pay for it. Yesterday, at this bottle of beer, I was astonished that I was standing on 100% malt from Victoria and hops. So I think you are nearly thinking the same way. So regional products can have a reliability. And what in Germany is today still combined is that a brewery, distillery has a farmhouse. So it's nothing uncommon in Austria and Germany. There are lots of farmers who have an own brewery or distillery. And brewing, distilling, and malting is fitting together. In former times, every brewery had his own maltery. So, and if you make a apprenticeship in Germany for a brewer, you also have to learn the maltster. So brewing and malting is one profession in Germany. Uniqueness, creating unique products, which is can be found can be found at this company. High and flexible product range. The product of the month or something like that. You can make a big show involving customer in the open production, creating production events. I think it's all common for you as well. So what is the harmony circle for grain? We do brewing, we do malting, and we do distilling. So wine, we say, is only good for cooking and in the church sometimes. So we are the guys who are working only with grain. And this circle comes up new. So what I want to tell you today is the story of this harmony we are going on. So maltster, brewer, miller, farmer, distiller, baker, just to get a feeling about the audience. Are any bakers in this room? Not one. Any millers? They're all gone already. Distillers? There are some, I guess. Yes, very good. Maltsters from Cargill. Maltsters, yes, very good. Brewers, not one, okay. One as well, very good, very good. And brewers and maltsters together, you as well? Yeah. But it would be very nice to see some farmers here in the room. Are there farmers? Yes. Yeah. Okay. I was sweating. And if there are any farmers who want to become maltsters, then you are my man. Let's go out and have 10 beers. So it's a wide range where we are coming from. Crops full of character. Nobody knows it better than the farmers. Your grain is something very special, and you have to give him the finishing touch. So you have to add a value to the grain, and then it's profitable, efficient, and expressive, we would say. The quickness and flexibility you need to open up such a micro-malting. We have a special system. This is a drum system. So drum systems were stopped in the 60s because the malteries were all getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and a malting system stops with 30 tons. It's just because of the static. So creating a new trend is coming up now, especially in the States. Most of the pictures I show you later are from the United States, and especially farmers who are becoming maltsters. So a changing product range is coming up, and the best system, we say, is especially our drum system because of a lot of details. So if you want a direct relationship to the customer, you can make a brew event, you can make a distilling event, and if the maltster meets the customer or the maltster meets the brewer, so there's a lot of possibility for this transparent production. The traceability, the transparency, the monitoring of the supply chain. So the combination farmer, maltster, brewer, distiller as one business, I think that's a big chance even for Australia. So our batch system starts with 2 tons barley, and we have an external steeping vessel, and every steeping vessel can produce for 3 drums. So that's the idea. We have 2 tons, 5 tons, 10 tons, and 25 tons. So I don't think, or maybe you are laughing about this metric tons, but for Europe it's not so far away, and even for the States as well. So we are micro business, not the huge big business. That should be clear. So a lot of people told me that a typical farmer in Australia is producing around 3,000 tons of barley. So hands up, who is in this size? It would be very good to have 3 drums for you with 25 tons, and then it's a good annual capacity. So our steeping vessel, I told you already, is external, so all the dust, the dirt stays outside of the drum. The aim is to have an open production, so everybody, I don't know who was already in a maltstery. No one? You? So if you go in a maltstery, there are always a lot of areas where the doors were closed, and everybody's, oh yes, no, it's okay. So malting is wet, is smelling, and that's because they have a germination, so the corn has to grow, and you can imagine what circumstances are there. So we put them out, the steeping. We have a CO2 suction, but I think these are technical details. If somebody interested, we can talk about it later on. We are circulating the grain, so it's the big difference from the brewers to the bakers, we are always telling, because at the brewers, they wash the grain before they are using it. The bakers don't, as I think. So we have a dispersion plate, and with the circulation, we can give oxygen to the grain. It has to stay alive. The most important thing for the grain is that it is alive, so we need at least 98% of living barley, otherwise it won't be anytime a malt. So we have a rinsing system for automatic water transport, so everything is in a very high hygienic standard, so you can show it to everybody. The transport from the steeping vessel to the drum is done by water. We can recirculate the water to save water, and inside is a small screw, and this is transporting the grain from one end to the other. So, and by turning around the drum, the horizontal flat plane is doing it by himself. In the middle you see this big chain. It's a 10-drum system. On the left side you see the inlet of the grain, and on the ground there's the outlet. So it's all made in stainless steel. Inside of the drum there's a sieve, a platform sieve, and that's why you can not only germinate in this drum, so even you can do the kilning. Even otherwise round, sorry. Kilning drum, is it? Good. We have an automatic docking on and off station, so during rotating, the air circulation is just docked off, and then the drum can rotate. It's needed about 2 or 3 times per day, and nothing else. So it's full automatic, nobody has to go there. There's a safety fence around it so that nobody can step in. And we have an air humidification system, so it's possible all around the world to do some malt. In former times in Germany, they only had the possibility during the winter time, and now it changed. You can malt the whole year, as you know. Rotating and mixing is done only with this rotation, as I said. So you see here a special angle. Each day the angle is changing, and in our receipt, as the corn is growing, the angle is different, that it comes parallel to the platform, and then it turns back, and everything is very plain inside. So we have nothing in the drum to mix the corn. That's the big difference to other systems. So that's the smoothest way you can say you get all these rootlets very safe and healthy, and that's the best way. Good, this is in Italy. He was the very first one who bought a 10-ton system. On the right side, from you on the right side, yes, you see the air heater, and in the back you see the energy saver, so we changing the outlet air against the inlet air and save a lot of energy. This costs money, but energy is much more expensive. And so you have a very optimized system. So it's not a craft malting just to start up a little bit. So it's very, very professional. To get it out of the drum, it's the same as to get in, but only on the other side. So this screw is running and putting it out, the finished malt, and it goes in these boxes and then to the transport. And you don't have to go in to clean it. That's the best thing. So maybe 4 times a year or so you go in with a vacuum cleaner, and that's it. So we have a full automatic system, which we do by ourselves. If you are interested and have your own automatic system, it's also possible. But nowadays it's very normal to have the plant on the handy or on the mobile phone, and you get a phone call if something is wrong. So this is even an automatic and technical detail where I don't have to talk about it anymore, I think. The expansion of the system is always possible, as I said already. So we have 1 steeping vessel with 3 drums and go up to 6 vessels. This is the biggest plant now in the States with 6 drums, but you can go on whatever you want. Good, and now here are the pictures. Excuse me. So this is Mastri Birrai Umbri. It's a very interesting story. He is a miller for pizza flour. He is very famous for olive oils, and it's a very big, for Italian circumstances, a very big farm. And now he started to open up a brewery and a maltery. And as you see on this picture here, this is not a small pub brewery, this is a real brewery. And he's so successful that he now installed the 2nd drum. So he's doing all the special malt for nearly the complete Italian north. So in Italy there are a lot of craft brewers, and now they get their special malt from him. So here's the 2nd drum already installed, so 2 times 10 tons. This could be in Australia, I always say, because of the horizon, looks like a little bit like gum trees, but it is in Italy, in Umbria, and this is our first pioneer, you can say, and he's doing very well. And he has a 70 hectoliter brew house, so it's not a small one. This is Genève in Switzerland. Switzerland had no maltery at all anymore. All malteries were closed, and now we opened up the first maltery in Switzerland because the Swiss people have a problem. They built up a lot of breweries, all German equipment, good luck, and but also German brewmasters. And when the customer says, and is the malt from Switzerland, they also had to say, no, sorry, even from Germany. And that's not good in long terms. So he started up to build up the first maltery in Switzerland, and we are very proud of it. This is Sweden, it's a complete different example. He is producing now his malt for the bakeries. There are a lot of special bakeries in Sweden all around his farm, and this is a 5-ton system, but he can handle it because he has complete different malt prices than the brewers have or the maltsters sell to someone else, because he's doing a very special malt, especially for bread and the flour. So now the United States are coming. This is Root Shoot Malting, quite famous because they have a very nice homepage, and a lot of people are looking about malting systems in the world now, and they are all coming to this site of Root Shoot Malting. So they are typical farmers and started with a 1 10-ton system and now ordered the 2nd one. This is the biggest one in Colorado, I guess. He ordered 6 drums at once. We delivered 3, and 3 months later the next 3, because at once we couldn't handle it. So, and it's full running now with 6 drums and automatical, and 1 person is working there, and it's looking very nice, I guess. So you can go every time with a customer of you inside this maltery and show everything. There's no door at all, so you can't get close to, keep closed one. So it's quite nice, I guess. This is the, once again, this is West Branch Malts, the third one. He has installed 3 drums, and a list is coming at the end. This is a picture of the engineering of this plant, so you see how professional they are working. And this was even a farmer, you can say, and he had in his mind, I want to get my own value by myself, I plan a maltery. And this is very high professional and very enthusiastic, and it works. So we have different things we can do with the malting system. We can produce smoked malt, it's no problem at all. You can install a smoker, especially for distilleries. It's important, I guess, to have a smoked malt, or especially for smoked beer, which is very nice, we think. And you can produce a sour malt. I don't know if it's an acid malt called in Australia, I guess. You have the sealing sprouts, which you can use somewhere else in the food business. You have malt flakes, you have malt flour, so the range about grain is big. So this is for the existing maltsters, but there were, no, one. Good. Now for the brewers, I have some pictures as well. So brewing, malting and distilling we talked about. So from the brew pub to the craft beer, as I told you already, the market came to us, not we have to change, but the market was coming. So on the left side you see a high standard copper brew pub, which is very modern style, and on the other side you see a typical craft beer brewer on the sofa, and they have quite funny days at work. Oh, sorry. Then our traditional brew houses, we can build up to 300 hectoliters. That's our capacity for brew houses. So it's for American, Australian standard, it's a very small brew house, you can say. A big brew house has 1,000 hectoliters. But in Europe, we have a lot of breweries in this size where we are from. So beer from here, that's the magic word, and I think in Australia as well. So, and for the distillers, we have the possibilities. New technique brings new malt. So we were producing a malt with 300 EBC, so you don't have to roast your malt to get a very, very nice aromatic malt. That's the new situation. In Australia, you have now over 500 breweries I've seen. The distilleries are coming up as well. So I think the changing of the market is aware for everybody, and we will see how it goes further. So from the ancient time to nowadays, for the pots itself, we have a partner. He's called Arnold Holstein. He's making very nice copper pots, but in the next years we want to come back and produce them by themselves again. So for a distillery, you need a special brew house, which is easier than for brewing beer, and also we have this in our concepts. So for the flour industry, it's from our homepage, and from the baker industry, there has a lot to do with malt. So in my opinion, microbusiness is a global player, and I think you can confirm that. And that was my speech, you say.
Thanks very much, Jörg.
I have to thank you, and thank you for the understanding of my Franconian Bavarian English. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Now, I will open it up for questions from the floor, but I have an initial question from my rudimentary understanding of the craft beer market and a quick look on Google last night. My understanding is that the US consumer will pay more for craft beer.
Yes, yes.
But in contrast, some markets, one being Australia, the consumer will not do so.
Yes.
Can you expand on that and provide your reasons?
I think the problem is that the beer price is already very high. And in Europe and even the United States, the smaller breweries have to pay less taxes on the beer. So here the beer price is high. The people say, oh, a craft beer, that's good, that's nice, but I don't pay more than €1 or €2 more for it. In Germany, when you go, you have everywhere very good beer, but the craft beer is much more than double of the price. And in the States, it's the same, but here it's different. Nowadays, maybe it's changing.
Well, that'd be interesting. Any questions from the floor about the micro business?
Nobody is laughing about it.
Okay, thanks very much, Jörg.
Thank you.